Did you know that there was an ancient civilization, one that existed even before the Romans, whose religion is considered among the deepest and richest belief systems in the history of the ancient world? The Etruscan religion, which emerged in the heart of ancient Italy, was filled with mystery and unusual rituals that connected humans with the gods. The Etruscans believed that everything around them, from thunder in the sky to the flight of birds, carried a message from the gods. They practiced divination by reading animal entrails and observing lightning in order to interpret the will of these deities. In this video, we will dive into the world of the Etruscan religion, exploring its mysterious gods, its rituals of worship, and how this belief system influenced Roman religion, as well as politics and everyday life. To learn more details, follow us until the end, and don't forget to support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel so you won't miss any new content. Deep in European history, long before the Roman Empire rose to glory, there existed a mysterious civilization known as the Etruscans. This civilization flourished in a region called Etruria, located in what is now central Italy. The Etruscans were not merely an advanced people in the fields of art and engineering. They were also the followers of a unique and complex religion, distinguished by its mysterious and symbolic nature. This belief system left a subtle, yet profound imprint on the Roman civilization that followed. The Etruscan religion was not simply a reflection of their spiritual beliefs, but a mirror of their understanding of the world, of life and death, and of destiny itself. The Etruscans believed in a universe filled with supernatural forces and gods who governed nature and fate. Their gods were not distant, abstract beings worshipped from afar. Rather, they were close and ever-present powers that influenced daily life and demanded precise rituals, either to gain their favor or to avoid their wrath. Their determination to understand the will of the gods led them to master the arts of divination and prophecy, to such an extent that Etruscan divination later became one of the most important religious traditions adopted by the Romans. One of the most defining features of the Etruscan religion was their strong belief that the universe was organized according to a precise and unbreakable divine order. They believed that the gods had established a fixed system that could not be altered. Everything, from a person's birth to their death, had its appointed time and place. The Etruscans considered themselves a chosen people, entrusted with the sacred duty of interpreting the messages of the gods and conveying them to humanity. One of the most fascinating concepts in Etruscan religion was their belief that every civilization was allotted a specific number of ages or time cycles predetermined by the gods. It was believed that the Etruscans themselves were granted 10 such cycles, and that at the end of each cycle, major events would occur that would alter the course of history. This fatalistic worldview transformed the Etruscan religion into more than a system of worship. It became a mysterious science for understanding time, destiny, and the ultimate fate of civilizations. The Etruscans worshipped multiple gods whose power and importance varied. Some of these deities closely resembled the gods of the Greeks and Romans, while others remained distinctly local and deeply mysterious. Among the chief gods was Tinia, the god of the sky and thunder. He is often compared to the Roman god Jupiter and the Greek Zeus, yet for the Etruscans, Tinia was far more than a god of storms. He was regarded as the supreme ruler of the universe, overseeing cosmic order and determining the fate of humanity. Alongside him stood the goddess Uni, comparable to the Roman Juno, who was worshipped as the goddess of motherhood and marriage. Another major deity was Minerva, the goddess of wisdom and war, representing intellect, strategy, and thoughtful planning, closely resembling the Greek goddess Athena. However, Etruscan religion was not limited to major deities alone. It was rich with symbolic beings that embodied mysterious concepts of life, death, and the afterlife. One such figure was Charun, who appeared in funerary wall paintings as a terrifying creature with a frightening face, responsible for escorting souls to the underworld. Another was Vanth, a winged being who combined both compassion and dread. Vanth often appeared at moments of death, acting as a guide for the soul on its journey into the afterlife. These beings cannot be classified as gods in the traditional sense, yet they played a profound spiritual role in shaping the Etruscan vision of death and what lies beyond. Etruscan religious practices were deeply surrounded by symbols and signs. Priests were known for their ability to interpret the will of the gods by observing natural phenomena, especially lightning, and by examining the entrails of sacred animals. The inspection of sheep livers was one of the most important methods of divination, as the liver was believed to be the center of the soul. Archaeological discoveries have revealed the famous liver of Piacenza, a bronze model divided into symbolic sections used to identify the domains of various gods in the sky. This artifact reflects the extraordinary precision and complexity of the Etruscan religious system. These gods were worshipped by all layers of Etruscan society. Religion was deeply embedded in every social class. From rulers to farmers, religious rituals were practiced daily. Agricultural seasons were tied to festivals and offerings, and even Etruscan art clearly reflected religious influence through paintings, carvings, and sculptures. Etruscan religion was not confined to a priestly elite. Rather, it was a unifying fabric that connected all members of society. Yet despite its depth and complexity, the Etruscan religion gradually disappeared from the historical stage, leaving behind only scattered remnants and gods remembered mainly through Roman texts or depicted on the walls of tombs. The primary reason for this disappearance was the rise of the Roman Empire and its political and cultural absorption of Etruria. Over time, the Romans adopted many Etruscan gods and incorporated them into their own mythology, which ultimately led to the loss of the original identity of these deities. The disappearance of written texts and religious manuscripts further contributed to the fading of Etruscan religion. The Etruscans relied heavily on oral transmission and symbolic writing, and when their language vanished, much of its meaning was lost. Their sacred books were not available to the public, but were kept within temples or in the hands of specialized priests. With the collapse of religious centers following Roman dominance, this rich spiritual heritage was largely erased. Despite all that has been lost, the surviving inscriptions, statues, and tombs reveal that the Etruscan religion was far from a primitive set of rituals. It was a complete spiritual philosophy that viewed the world as a system of symbols, where everything carried meaning and a divine message. The gods of Etruria were not merely objects of worship, they represented humanity's struggle with the unknown and its enduring quest to understand the hidden forces that shape destiny. One of the most distinctive features of the Etruscan religion was its deep connection to magic and divination. The Etruscans viewed the world as a place overflowing with signs and omens sent by divine powers, and their priests possessed advanced knowledge in interpreting these messages. They believed that the universe was divided into sacred regions, each ruled by different gods, and that any natural event, ranging from lightning and thunder to the birth of a deformed animal, carried a hidden message from the heavens. Interpreting these signs was the role of the haruspices, highly trained priests, who mastered the arts of reading animal livers and celestial signs. This ability to read the divine will through physical phenomena can be considered a form of organized magic, one not based on superstition, but on a structured system of symbols and meanings. Magic, however, was not limited to predicting the future. It was also used in daily rituals. Some Etruscan practices are believed to have involved spells written on scrolls or inscribed on ceramic vessels, which were then buried or burned to attract good fortune or to ward off evil spirits. These spells were often connected to sacred places or tombs and were performed at precisely chosen astrological times, indicating a deep understanding of the movement of the stars and their influence on the human soul. The darker side of the Etruscan religion is associated with human sacrifice. Although archaeological evidence for this practice remains scarce and highly debated, some Roman sources suggest that the Etruscans, on rare and exceptional occasions, performed human sacrifices as a supreme offering to the gods. Such rituals were reportedly carried out during times of extreme danger, such as the outbreak of wars or major natural disasters, and were believed to have been conducted under priestly supervision and according to strict rules. The existence of mass graves and traces of blood rituals at certain Etruscan sites raises serious questions about the reality of these practices, especially given that similar rituals were present in other contemporary civilizations. Another central feature of this religion was its profound belief in death and the afterlife. Etruscan tombs reveal a rich and vivid conception of the world beyond, frequently depicting deities who guided souls into the next life. The afterlife was not seen as a purely spiritual existence, but as a journey governed by divine laws, one that required careful preparation through rituals, offerings, and magical tools. For this reason, Etruscan tombs were decorated with wall paintings that told mythological stories and illustrated the rituals performed to ensure the soul's safe passage. Adding to the mystery of the Etruscan religion is the fact that it was never fully recorded in a language we can understand today. The few surviving Etruscan texts are written in a language that has not been completely deciphered, leaving many of their rituals and divine names as living enigmas. This linguistic silence has only enhanced the aura of magic surrounding their beliefs and has left the door open to speculation and myth. Despite the disappearance of the Etruscan religion and its absorption into Roman culture, its influence never fully vanished. Several magical and divinatory concepts, such as liver reading and the interpretation of lightning, were absorbed into Roman religion and eventually became part of official state rituals within the Roman Empire. These priests were known as the haruspices, a sacred class that could only be entered by those who underwent long religious training and possessed precise knowledge of ancestral traditions. They inherited their techniques from sacred books, attributed to a mythical being called Tages, who, according to legend, emerged from the earth to teach humans the arts of divination and the interpretation of divine signs. According to the myth, Tages instructed the Etruscans in how to read and interpret the signs of nature, and this knowledge was considered among the most precious secrets revealed only to the priesthood. One of the most astonishing rituals in their religion was the practice of haruspicy, the art of reading animal livers. After a sheep or other sacrificial animal was slaughtered, the liver was carefully removed and examined in great detail. Its shape, color, markings, curves, and internal divisions were all meticulously studied. The liver was not viewed as a mere physical organ. It was believed to be a mirror of the heavens and a reflection of divine will. To aid in interpretation, the priests used a bronze model known as the liver of Piacenza, divided into small sections, each associated with a specific god. This model served as a key for decoding the real liver and linking every sign to its corresponding deity. This remarkable art was not based on guesswork, but on a strict religious system grounded in observation, comparison, and symbolism. Every mark on the liver carried meaning, and each meaning was combined with others to produce a prophecy or divine message. The priests did not limit themselves to liver reading alone. They also interpreted lightning, its direction and timing, as well as the behavior of birds, eclipses, and even the shapes of clouds. Everything in nature was considered a source of messages, and the priest was the appointed interpreter of these signs. The role of the Etruscan priest extended far beyond the temple and into the heart of politics. No major decision, whether related to war, construction, or agriculture, was made without consulting the priests. They were called upon to determine auspicious days, to assess whether the gods were satisfied, or to warn rulers of possible divine anger. Even in personal matters, such as marriage or childbirth, people sought their interpretations of fate. Their elevated status was not solely religious. They wielded significant influence within the social system, were treated with profound respect, and were regarded as spiritual leaders. Although most of the knowledge of these priests was lost over time with the disappearance of the Etruscan language, the Romans adopted many of their traditions. Roman priests continued to use techniques similar to those practiced by the haruspices. Thus, the roots of these Etruscan traditions remained embedded in Roman religion, albeit reinterpreted through a new cultural and linguistic framework. The priests of Etruria remain a symbol of a civilization that did not base its religion on faith alone, but on a precise connection between the material world and the unseen realm. They looked upon the entrails of a sheep as scholars look upon maps, seeing signs, pathways, and destinies within them. They believed that the world was an open book, readable only by those who possessed the keys to interpretation, and they alone held those keys. In the silence of tombs, statues, and surviving inscriptions, their whispers still seem to linger, as if they continue to foretell what is yet to come, waiting for someone to understand their language once more. And thus, we come to the end of our exploration of the world of the Etruscan religion, which played a central role in the daily lives of the Etruscans and had a profound influence on Roman religion and the civilizations that followed. Although many details of their beliefs have been lost over time, their legacy still resonates at the very heart of history. Here we reach the conclusion of our discussion. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell, and we look forward to seeing you in a new documentary.